What would you do if, in a moment of mourning, a dog started barking desperately, as if trying to reveal a hidden secret? On a gray and cloudy day, Emily's funeral takes place in silence, steeped in tears and sadness. However, the calm is abruptly interrupted when Thor, Emily's loyal dog, fixes his gaze on the coffin. His sharp, anguished barking provokes astonishment and uncertainty among the attendees. What could he be seeing? The atmosphere is charged with superstitious whispers, and the tension grows as Pastor Matthew tries, unsuccessfully, to control the situation. The pastor, who should be bringing comfort, exudes nervousness. His eyes, avoiding the coffin, seem to hide a dark secret. Every word he utters trembles, and his insistence on pushing Thor away only heightens the audience's distrust. Amidst this tense climate, Sam, a stranger in town, senses that something is terribly wrong and decides to trust the dog's instincts. He has no idea that this decision will lead him to a shocking truth. While investigating Emily's house, Sam and Thor come across mysterious letters indicating secret meetings and forbidden conversations. Each sentence transforms into a silent scream from Emily, crying out for justice. The discovery of a hidden key and a revealing photo uncovers an unexpected connection to Pastor Matthew. But Sam is determined to uncover the truth. With Thor by his side, they embark on a journey of revelations, finding a metal box hidden beneath the church statue. What's inside? Embezzled money from community donations and a map leading to a secret stash. The feeling of justice grows within Sam, but he soon realizes this is just the tip of the iceberg. Upon arriving at the stash, the reality becomes even more terrifying. Emily is alive, chained in the church's recesses. Pastor Matthew, furious, appears to silence the truth. An intense struggle ensues, where Thor becomes the four-legged hero, leaping to protect Sam and save Emily. Chaos spreads as the town unites, shocked by the revelations of corruption and the pastor's true intentions. The confrontation culminates in an electrifying moment. The pastor, cornered and desperate, tries to escape but is stopped by Sam, Thor, and the community that has come together to expose the truth. The scene of the public revelation, with Sam holding the box of stolen money and Emily being freed, is a climax that will keep everyone on edge, anxious for justice. However, the lingering question remains. Did the pastor truly surrender? Or are there still secrets to be revealed? And how will the town react now that the truth has come to light? This story weaves a plot of suspense, justice, and heroism that promises to captivate and move everyone. Get ready for a journey filled with twists and an unyielding quest for justice, where every second reveals a new secret capable of changing everything. Sam has always been a dreamer, but he is also a man marked by his insecurities. Since childhood, he has faced traumas that left him vulnerable, and his desire to feel accepted and loved accompanied him every step of the way. Upon arriving in town, he had no idea that Emily's funeral would become the turning point in his life. The environment around him was hostile and laden with distrust, with people seemingly more interested in hiding secrets than sharing the pain of loss. The initial interaction with the locals left Sam feeling even more uncomfortable, but the deep connection he felt with Thor encouraged him to seek out what was hidden. Sam's determination to uncover the truth would become a struggle not only against external forces but also against his own demons. As he navigates through a sea of mysteries and revelations, he is confronted with the moral question of justice. How far would he go to protect those he loved? And so, with Thor by his side, Sam begins a journey that will change his life forever, helping him find not only the truth about Emily, but also about himself. As the days went by, Sam found himself immersed in an atmosphere of distrust and fear. The city, which once seemed like just an unfamiliar place, now revealed its darker layers. He remembered Thor's gaze during Emily's funeral, as if the dog were trying to warn him of something he still couldn't understand. This inexplicable connection between them encouraged him to move forward, even when doubt and insecurity threatened to overwhelm him. Shortly after discovering the letters Emily had left behind, Sam faced a new challenge. The messages indicated that she was about to expose something serious about Pastor Matthew, and this revelation seemed directly linked to her death. The idea that someone might have taken Emily's life to protect a secret left Sam distressed. He not only wanted to uncover the truth, but also felt it was his duty to honor the memory of the woman who had become, in some way, a part of his life. It was during a conversation with Sarah, a close friend of Emily's, that Sam began to grasp the complexity of what he was facing. Sarah was a strong woman but carried the weight of guilt for not having noticed what was happening. She revealed to Sam that she had noticed changes in Emily's behavior in the months leading up to her death. She was scared, as if she knew something was wrong, Sarah said, her eyes welling with tears. But I didn't know how to help. I tried, but she shut me out. These words hit Sam like a punch in the stomach. He realized that what was at stake was not just the truth about the pastor, but also Emily's struggle against her own demons. Sam, who had always battled with his insecurities, found himself reflecting on the impact of his actions. He felt powerless in the face of others. Pain, and this powerlessness challenged him to seek the strength he believed he lacked. How could he be a hero if he felt so fragile? The pressure mounted as Sam delved deeper into the investigation. He and Thor began to be followed by shadowy figures who seemed to protect Pastor Matthew. Fear became palpable, and Sam felt that every step forward could be the last. One night, while reviewing the clues at home, Sam heard a noise coming from the backyard. He and Thor cautiously ventured outside, and when they looked out the window, they saw a black car parked across the street, with its lights off. Sam's heart raced. The feeling of being watched made him question whether he was truly prepared for what lay ahead. Thor, on the other hand, seemed more determined than ever. The dog was always by Sam's side, his presence a constant reminder that he was not alone. But even with Thor's loyalty, Sam felt insecure. He needed more than just courage, he needed a strategy. What would he do if the pastor tried to silence him? The thought of failing in his mission tormented him. For him, it was not just about finding the truth about Emily, but also about confronting his own fear of failure. Over time, Sam began to realize that his challenges were not only external. The internal struggle he faced was as intense as the pursuit he and Thor were enduring. He needed to learn to trust himself and to overcome the voices of doubt echoing in his mind. If I fail, not only will Emily be wronged, but I will also be betraying myself, Sam thought as he watched Thor, who seemed to understand the gravity of the situation. The friendship between them deepened, and Sam found himself reflecting on how their bond could be a source of strength. With each new obstacle, like the betrayal of an unexpected ally or the discovery of more dark secrets, Sam felt his world crumbling. But at the same time, these difficulties forced him to apply the lessons he had learned throughout his life. He realized that courage was not the absence of fear, but rather the willingness to act despite it. If I don't fight for Emily, who will? This question propelled him forward. The emotional tension grew, and Sam knew he was approaching the climax of his journey. The truth was within reach, but he also understood that he needed to confront his own fears and insecurities. With Thor by his side, he was determined to unmask Pastor Matthew and ensure that justice was served, not just for Emily, but for himself. The search for answers became increasingly intense, and Sam knew there was no turning back. He was ready to face the darkness, even if it meant confronting his own weaknesses. Sam felt the pressure mounting with each passing day. The search for the truth about Emily's death led him down a dangerous path, where every new clue seemed to raise more questions than answers. As he got closer to the heart of the mystery, he realized he wasn't just battling external forces, but also pushing against his own limits. The weight of responsibility bore down on him, and he often wondered if he truly had the strength to face what lay ahead. One night, while reviewing Emily's letters, Sam had an idea. He decided to confront Pastor Matthew directly, believing that a conversation could clear things up. However, this decision was risky. The pastor was a powerful figure in the community, and Sam knew many respected and feared him. Nevertheless, Sam's determination was unwavering. He couldn't allow himself to back down now. When Sam arrived at the church, his heart raced. The place, which once felt sacred, now seemed like a trap. He waited until the service ended and approached the pastor. The conversation started cordially but quickly turned tense. The pastor, with a piercing gaze, questioned Sam about his intentions. "You are meddling in matters you do not understand," he said, his voice laden with a veiled warning. Sam felt a wave of nervousness, but he struggled to maintain his composure. "I just want to know the truth about Emily," he replied, his voice steady but with a slight tremor. The pastor remained silent, and in that silence, Sam sensed the depth of the threat he faced. He wasn't just seeking answers. He was challenging a man who would do anything to keep his secrets. After that conversation, Sam felt more lost than before. Doubt began to erode his confidence. He remembered Sarah's words, that Emily had been scared. Now, he understood that same feeling was creeping in on him. If the pastor was truly guilty, how could he confront him? The fear of failure consumed him. What would happen if he couldn't protect Emily's memory? In the following days, Sam and Thor continued to investigate, but with each new clue, he became more confused. He discovered that the pastor had been accused of harassment in the past, but the accusations were never proven. He wondered if he should take this information public, but the idea of becoming a target made him hesitate. The pressure mounted, and Sam began to feel the physical effects of stress. He struggled to sleep, and exhaustion piled up, making his mind foggy. The situation became even more complicated when he realized that some people were starting to suspect his investigation. A longtime friend, Lucas, who was also a member of the community, confronted Sam in a cafe. "Are you doing this for Emily or just to feel important?" Lucas asked, his tone full of reproach. Sam was taken aback and offended. He had never considered that his quest for justice could be seen that way. Lucas's doubt struck him deeply. Was he merely running away from his own insecurities? The misunderstanding with Lucas left Sam feeling even more isolated. He felt surrounded by a web of distrust, and the pressure increased. The friendship that had once supported him now felt like a burden. He remembered how close he had felt to Emily and how he wanted to do justice for her. But with each passing day, that justice seemed further away. As he dealt with these conflicts, Sam decided he needed a new plan. He began to gather information about the pastor's past, speaking with former church members and searching public records. With each new discovery, the truth loomed like a threatening shadow, but it also raised more questions. He started to see how Emily's life was intertwined with the pastor's dark history, and it troubled him. The rising tension culminated in a fateful night. Sam and Thor were at home, studying the information they had collected, when they heard a loud noise coming from the door. A group of men entered, familiar faces but with threatening expressions. They were friends of the pastor, and Sam realized they were there to intimidate him. "You should stop digging where you don't belong," one of them said, advancing toward him. In that moment, Sam felt a mix of fear and determination. He knew he had reached a point of no return. With Thor by his side, he took a deep breath and decided he wouldn't be intimidated. "I will not stop until I uncover the truth about Emily," he replied, his voice steady. This declaration not only challenged the men but also served as a reminder to himself that he was not alone in this fight. The tension in the room was palpable, and Sam realized that the fight for the truth involved not just others, but also the internal battle he had fought his entire life. He was learning to stand up in the face of adversity, to confront his fears, and to refuse to be silenced. The journey was far from easy, but Sam knew that with Thor by his side and Emily's memory as his guide, he was finally finding his strength. The tension in the room was palpable as Sam faced the men who had invaded his home. His heart raced in his chest, but there was a determination in his eyes that could not be extinguished. The group of men, friends of the pastor, was there to intimidate him, But Sam had already crossed a line. He could not back down now, not even in the face of threat. "You should stop digging where it doesn't concern you," one of the men said, with an arrogant smile that did not hide his contempt. Sam stood firm, his voice resolute. "I won't stop until I uncover the truth about Emily." Sam's response echoed in the room, but the emotional impact of his words quickly dissolved when one of the men advanced, pushing Thor into the corner. The dog growled, but Sam had no time to worry about that. What truly shook him was the realization that his quest for the truth was not just a personal struggle, but a battle against a system that oppressed him. He was putting himself at risk, and the idea that he could lose more than just the truth left him distressed. One of the men, sensing Sam's determination, stepped forward. "You don't know who you're messing with. The pastor has powerful friends, and you won't like how this story ends." The words pierced Sam's mind like a sharp blade. He realized that he was not just challenging a man, he was facing a protective network involving influential people in the community. The feeling of being alone in the fight weighed heavily on him like a stone. "Come on, Sam, it's not worth it," Thor whispered, trying to hold back his friend's momentum, but Sam felt he couldn't give up. Not now. The spirit of Emily propelled him forward, but doubt began to creep into his heart. What if he was just digging his own grave? The conversation took an unexpected turn when one of the men, in a moment of anger, revealed something Sam never expected to hear. "You didn't know Emily was involved with the pastor. They had a relationship." This revelation struck like lightning on a clear day. Sam felt the ground open up beneath his feet. The image he had of Emily, the innocent and kind young woman, was now tainted by this new information. What else didn't he know? The pain of betrayal hit him hard, and tears threatened to well up in his eyes. "That's not true," Sam shouted, his voice filled with anguish. But inside him, doubt grew. He began to reconsider everything he knew about Emily, the friendship they had, the secrets they shared. Everything was now under a new light. The revelation made him question his own choices. He had dedicated so much to finding the truth that he hadn't realized he might not like what he would discover. The men laughed, sensing the weakness starting to set in Sam. "You need to understand that some things are better left buried," one of them said, as he walked away, leaving Sam in a state of confusion and pain. The silence that followed was deafening. What had once been a mission for justice had now turned into a quest for answers that could devastate his dearest memories. Thor, sensing Sam's emotional turmoil, approached and rested his head on his lap. The dog's touch brought a little comfort, but Sam knew the truth was revealing itself like a dark labyrinth, and he was becoming more lost. The thought that Emily might have lied or hidden something so profound left him with a knot in his stomach. He needed to reflect on what he truly wanted: the truth, justice, or the comfort of ignorance. In the following days, Sam isolated himself even more. He avoided Lucas and the other friends, feeling unable to explain what he was going through. The revelation had left him dazed, and he didn't know how to deal with the pain of betrayal and the struggle for truth at the same time. Visits to the church became rare, and the pressure was building like a storm about to erupt. Finally, on a quiet night, as he revisited Emily's letters, Sam realized he needed to reevaluate his approach. He couldn't let the pain paralyze him. Instead, he could use it as fuel for his fight. The search for truth was not just about Emily. It was also about his own journey of self-discovery. He realized he needed to face his own flaws and insecurities if he truly wanted to honor her memory. With this new perspective, Sam decided he would not give up. He needed to understand what had really happened between Emily and the pastor. This new determination led him to seek answers in a different, more mindful, and open way. The road ahead would still be difficult, but now he had a new purpose. He was not just seeking the truth about Emily, but also the truth about himself. In the days that followed the devastating revelation, Sam found himself immersed in a whirlwind of emotions. The pain of betrayal accompanied him at every step, like a shadow that wouldn't leave him in peace. He had entered an emotional battlefield, fighting against the confusion that now dominated his thoughts. At the same time, A new determination began to blossom within him, like a plant striving to grow among the stones. The nights were the hardest. Sam sat alone in his room, surrounded by letters and photos of Emily, trying to piece together the fragments of his memory. He reread her words, searching for clues, trying to find a justification for what he had discovered. The image of Emily, once pure and innocent, now seemed distorted. He wondered if she had really changed, or if she had always had a side he had never known. Doubt consumed him, but at the same time, he remembered the love he felt for her and how it had shaped him. The search for the truth, which had once been a frantic impulse, had now become a journey of self-discovery. Sam decided that he would not be defeated. He needed to understand what had really happened between Emily and the pastor, but not just that. He needed to understand himself, and this quest would not be easy. One day, while walking through the park, Sam ran into Lucas, his best friend. Lucas had always been a constant support, but the tension between them had increased since the revelation. Lucas looked at Sam with concern, noticing the pain he was trying to hide. "You've been different, man. What's going on?" he asked in a gentle tone. Sam hesitated. The words caught in his throat. He wanted to open his heart, but the fear of being judged paralyzed him. I found out things about Emily," he finally said, his voice trembling. Lucas frowned, as if trying to guess what Sam meant. "I think she had a relationship with the pastor, and that left me confused." Lucas's expression changed to a mix of surprise and compassion. "I'm sorry, Sam. That must be really painful for you." The sincerity in his friend's voice made him feel a little lighter. "I don't know how to deal with this. I loved her," Sam confessed, feeling anguish overflow in his words. "And now, everything I thought I knew about her seems like a big lie." Lucas stepped closer, placing a hand on Sam's shoulder. "You're not alone in this. We can figure out together what happened. You don't have to face this alone." The offer of help brought a bit of comfort to Sam's heart, but he knew the journey would still be difficult. In the following days, Sam and Lucas began to investigate. They spoke to people who knew Emily, trying to understand her relationships. Each new conversation brought more questions than answers, but Sam felt stronger with Lucas by his side. Together, they discovered that many people in the community had their own opinions about the pastor and his relationship with Emily. However, the tension was rising. The men who had invaded Sam's house still loomed over his life, like a constant threat. He felt suspicious glances as he walked through town and heard whispers that made him uneasy. The weight of social pressure and fear accompanied him, creating a new obstacle to face. Sam realized that his search for the truth was not just personal, he had become a target. One night, while reviewing the notes he had made, Sam received an anonymous message. "Stop digging. You don't know what you're doing." His heart raced. The message was clear. There were powerful forces that wanted him to back off. Sam felt a chill run down his spine. But instead of allowing himself to be intimidated, determination grew within him. He couldn't give up now. Thor, his loyal dog, seemed to sense Sam's agitation. The animal approached, staring at him with those eyes full of love and loyalty. Sam petted Thor's head, seeking comfort in the presence of his canine friend. "I'm going to find out the truth, Thor. I can't let them stop me," he murmured, feeling a new fire ignite inside him. Thus, each day became a struggle between pain and determination. Sam was learning to deal with his feelings, but he was also beginning to realize that the truth might not be what he expected. He was about to enter a dangerous path, but at the same time, he felt he was growing stronger with each step. The search for the truth not only challenged him to face Emily's secrets but also his own fears and weaknesses. And as he prepared for what was to come, Sam knew he could no longer turn back. He was determined to confront his destiny, for Emily and for himself. In the days that followed, Sam realized that the pain of betrayal began to transform into something more. With each new discovery, he felt stronger, as if the difficulties were shaping his essence rather than destroying it. He was no longer just a young man who had been hurt. Now, he saw himself as a survivor, someone in search of answers and, more importantly, in search of himself. The anonymous message he received shook him, but it also ignited a flame of determination. Sam decided that he would not back down. He was tired of living in the shadow of fear and betrayal. It was time to take action. With Lucas by his side, he began to plan a more careful approach. They decided to meet with people who knew Emily, who could offer valuable insights into her behavior and relationships. As they interviewed friends and acquaintances, Sam began to notice patterns. Many people spoke about the pastor with a mix of respect and fear. He was not just a religious leader. There were rumors that he had an almost hypnotic power over his followers. This revelation made Sam reflect on what it truly meant to love someone involved in such a complex web. He began to understand that Emily's betrayal was not just a matter of disloyalty. It was also a consequence of external influences that she could not resist. The first time Sam looked at Lucas and said, "I think we need to find a way to confront the pastor," he realized he was opening up. He was starting to trust Lucas, allowing his pain to be shared. This acceptance began to lighten some of the weight he carried. He knew he was far from healed, but each step he took toward the truth brought him closer to a stronger version of himself. The confrontation with the pastor was not easy. Sam arrived at the church with a racing heart and a mind full of questions. He felt vulnerable, but at the same time there was a new confidence in his posture. He was no longer just the victim. He had become an agent of change. Looking into the pastor's eyes, Sam felt a surge of courage. He was not just there to demand explanations. He was there to reclaim his life. The pastor, when confronted, maintained an unsettling calm. Sam's words resonated in the room, and he realized that for a long time, he had felt powerless in the face of his pain. Now, by speaking, he was reclaiming his voice, his truth. The conversation was tense, but Sam left that meeting with a sense of relief. He had faced one of his greatest fears and had not backed down. As time went on, Sam began to rebuild his life. He enrolled in a photography course, something he had always wanted to do but never had the courage to pursue. Each click of the camera was like a step toward his new identity. He began to capture the beauty around him, finding joy in the little things. This new perspective not only distracted him, but also helped him see the world in a different light. Meanwhile, the friendship between Sam and Lucas deepened. They began to have more meaningful conversations, discussing not only the challenges they faced but also their dreams and aspirations. Lucas's presence was a constant reminder that even in the darkest hours, friendship could bring light. Sam learned that sometimes true strength comes from allowing others to get close, accepting help, and sharing the burden. Sam's journey was not without its mistakes. He had days when he felt lost and discouraged, but with each fall he got up stronger. He began to apply the lessons he had learned, the importance of communication, the need to confront his fears, and the beauty of allowing himself to be vulnerable. He realized that success was not just about overcoming betrayal. It was about finding a new purpose and the ability to reinvent himself. Looking back, Sam saw not just a story of pain, but a narrative of growth. He had transformed, not only in response to the challenges he faced but also in the way he chose to deal with them. Life had shaped him, and instead of being consumed by negativity, he had found a path to resilience. He was no longer a broken man but a man who had found strength in his vulnerability and courage in his quest for truth. Sam was about to face his greatest challenge. The tension in the air was palpable, and he could feel his heart racing as he prepared for the final confrontation. He knew he needed to meet Emily again, not just to clear his doubts but to understand what had really happened. The weight of betrayal was still present, but now he felt stronger, more centered. He was no longer the victim. He was a man determined to seek the truth. He met with Lucas before the encounter. The friend, always by his side, offered words of encouragement. Sam looked into Lucas's eyes and felt their connection strengthen. It was as if they shared a common purpose, and this friendship became the anchor he needed to face what lay ahead. Lucas reminded him that trust was a choice and that, regardless of what happened, Sam was not alone. When Sam finally saw Emily, there was a mix of emotions. He saw her sitting in a cafe, her gaze distant and her shoulders slumped. He approached her, and for a moment, the silence spoke louder than words could. The pain was there, but there was also room for understanding. Sam took a deep breath and decided it was time to lay everything on the table. "Emily," he began, his voice steady, yet laden with emotion. "We need to talk. I need to understand what happened between us. Why you did what you did." Emily's gaze lifted, and he could see the internal struggle on her face. Her vulnerability touched him, and he remembered that behind the betrayal was a woman who was also fighting her own battles. She hesitated, but finally spoke. "Sam, I let myself be led astray. The pastor had an influence over me that I couldn't comprehend. I didn't want to hurt you, but I got lost in something that felt bigger than me." Her words echoed the discoveries Sam had made on his journey. He watched her, realizing that, just like him, she was also trying to find herself. The conversation deepened, and Sam began to realize that forgiveness was a crucial part of his own healing. He didn't need to forget what had happened, but he could choose how to react to it. The pain was still there, but he felt he was starting to loosen the ties that bound him to the past. "I want to understand, but I also need space to heal," Sam said honestly. "We can't go back to what we were, but maybe we can find a new way forward." This openness was not just a door to communication between them, but also a way for Sam to free himself from the chains that held him captive to the pain. The tension that had once filled the air began to dissipate, giving way to a new understanding. Sam realized that by facing his fears and allowing himself to be vulnerable, he was not only helping Emily, but also helping himself. The scene was intense, but there was a sense of relief beginning to settle in. He didn't have to carry the weight of betrayal alone. He could share that burden, and in doing so, find a path to liberation. As they said their goodbyes, Sam felt a mix of sadness and hope. He didn't know what the future held, but he was sure he was on the right path. The journey of overcoming was not linear, and there was much to learn, but he was willing to face every challenge that came his way. He looked at Lucas, who was waiting for him outside the cafe, and a genuine smile formed on his face. "How was it?" Lucas asked, noticing that something had changed in Sam. "It was difficult, but necessary." "I feel lighter," Sam replied, his voice strong and confident. He began to realize that true wealth did not come from material possessions but from the ability to reconnect with himself and others. The friendship he had with Lucas became even more solidified in that moment, and he knew he could count on him for whatever lay ahead. Sam had learned that life is made of choices, and he chose forgiveness, friendship, and overcoming. He was no longer a broken man, but someone who had found strength in his vulnerability and courage in his quest for truth. And so, as he walked alongside Lucas, Sam felt that the true journey was just beginning. Sam walked alongside Lucas, feeling the gentle breeze that flowed around them. The encounter with Emily had been an emotional roller coaster, but now, next to his friend, he felt more secure. The words exchanged at the cafe table echoed in his mind, and he realized how much he had learned about himself. "You really believe you can forgive her?" Lucas asked, observing his friend closely. The question was direct, but Sam didn't feel offended. It was a valid question, and he knew he needed to reflect on it. "I think so," Sam replied thoughtfully. "It won't be easy, but I realize that holding on to this resentment only harms me. I want to move forward." He paused for a moment, looking up at the blue sky above them. "Forgiving doesn't mean forgetting, but freeing myself from a burden I shouldn't carry." Lucas nodded, understanding the depth of those words. "That's very mature of you, Sam. Sometimes people make mistakes. She might be just as lost as you were before." The conversation flowed naturally between them, as if time had paused to allow Sam to process everything that had happened. In the following days, Sam began to open up to new possibilities. He dedicated more time to work, focusing on projects he had previously neglected. The feeling of lightness propelled him to reconnect with his passion for photography, a hobby he had abandoned during the emotional turmoil he experienced. Through the lenses of his camera, he began to rediscover the beauty around him, turning simple moments into valuable memories. He also made the decision to talk to other friends about his experience. Sam realized that many of them had already faced betrayals and disappointments. The shared stories created a support network that strengthened him even more. The conversations were filled with laughter, tears, and, above all, understanding. The pain hadn't disappeared completely, but it became a backdrop in his life, something he could look back on and learn from. One night, while reviewing some photos he had taken, Sam felt a wave of gratitude. He looked at an image of a vibrant sunset, and that captured moment brought to mind the memory of his conversation with Emily. He remembered her gaze, the sincerity in her words, and the pain they both carried. Sam realized that although he had suffered, he had also grown. He was a different man now, someone who not only survived, but also wanted to live fully. During one of the gatherings with friends, Sam decided it was time to share his journey. "I've learned that forgiveness is an act of courage," he began, looking at each of them. "It's not about the person who hurt us, but about ourselves. It's a gift we give to ourselves." His friends listened intently, and Sam saw a mix of respect and understanding on their faces. He was becoming an example of resilience, and this filled him with pride. Over time, the relationship between Sam and Emily also evolved. They began to meet occasionally, talking about their lives and experiences. The tension of the past started to dissipate, and a new form of friendship began to take shape. Sam still felt that he couldn't fully trust her, but the hurt was transforming into compassion. He remembered what Lucas had said, "We are all fighting our own battles." During one of these meetings, Emily said, "I never thought I could feel this way again, but your strength inspires me. Thank you for giving me a second chance." Sam smiled, feeling that the cycle of pain was finally closing. He had chosen the path of forgiveness, and it not only freed him but also gave Emily the opportunity to redeem herself. Life went on, full of uncertainties, but Sam now walked with the certainty that he had the tools to face whatever lay ahead. He had learned that true strength is not about not feeling pain, but knowing how to rise up and move forward. And so, as he watched the sky change colors at dusk, Sam smiled, understanding that although the journey was long, he was ready for every step. Sam looked out at the horizon, where the sun was beginning to set, painting the sky with shades of orange and pink. He reflected on the journey he had taken. From the painful encounter with Emily to the moments of laughter and support with his friends, it all seemed to have contributed to a profound transformation. The pain he had felt had not completely disappeared, but now it was just a part of his story, not his whole. Sam understood that the forgiveness he had offered Emily was not only a gift to her but a present to himself. Every step he took led him toward a new understanding of what it meant to live fully. He realized that true success was not in achieving what he wanted, but in learning to deal with the adversities that life presented. As he thought about his accomplishments, Sam felt a wave of gratitude. He had overcome an emotional challenge that many would consider insurmountable, and he, in doing so, had become a stronger version of himself. His friendship with Lucas grew even stronger, and the two began to explore new adventures together. They started photographing the city, capturing not only the visible beauties but also the stories behind every corner. Sam remembered with a smile how his passion for photography had resurfaced and how it had become a way to express his emotions. Through the lens of his camera, he not only observed the world but also rediscovered himself with each click. When he encountered Emily again, a new dynamic was established between them. The conversations were lighter, and both could share their lives without the weight of the past. Sam realized that by choosing to forgive, he not only freed himself, but also allowed Emily to become a better person. The cycle of pain that had once bound them was now transformed into a bond of understanding and empathy. However, in one of those conversations, Emily revealed something Sam did not expect. She said she had been so focused on her own problems that she hadn't realized how much he was suffering. The truth was that she also feared losing him, and that made her act selfishly. These words touched Sam deeply. He recognized that, despite the betrayal, there was a hidden truth in Emily's vulnerability. They were both struggling with their insecurities and fears, and this revelation brought a new understanding of what it truly meant to forgive. Upon realizing this new layer of complexity in the situation, Sam felt a wave of relief. The illusion that the betrayal was a reflection of his self-worth was shattered. He understood that love and friendship could be complicated, but they were also opportunities for growth. Sam not only forgave Emily but also forgave himself for allowing himself to be led by pain. Now, as he looked at the ever-changing sky, Sam felt that his life was finally in balance. He was no longer just a survivor. He was a warrior who had learned to transform his wounds into strength. Every experience, every tear, and every laugh had shaped his choices, and he was ready to face whatever came next. And so, Sam invited everyone to reflect on their own journeys. He told his friends that each of us carries stories of pain and overcoming. He urged them not to let pain define who they are. Instead, he encouraged them to use it as a springboard to grow and rise again. Forgiveness is a difficult path, but it is the only way to break free and move forward. He encouraged them to share their experiences, to open up to forgiveness, and to seek beauty in life's imperfections. He urged them to like, subscribe, and explore this journey of growth together. We are not alone, and each interaction helps spread this message. Let's take action now, because every step counts. Now it's your turn. What moment from this story impacted you the most? Thor's bark at the funeral, the discovery of Emily's secrets, or the twist that no one saw coming? Share with us in the comments. We want to know what left you speechless. Your opinion is very important to us and helps us create even more engaging stories. And if you know someone who would be intrigued by this mystery or who would love to unravel this suspense-filled story, share this video with them. Let's spread these emotions together and inspire more people. And if you're looking for more stories that will captivate you from start to finish, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss any updates. Thank you very much for watching, and see you in the next story that will give you chills.